The scarcity in this case that the family income is not enough to support our children in school. Meanwhile, the choice in this case is the father, as the head of the family has to choose for only a few children to continue school and 2 children to drop out. As for opportunity, the head of the family had to sacrifice the education opportunities and future of 2 children who drop out of school in order to survive. The family has faced the problem of the lack of financial resource, such as not having enough money to meet their basic needs. For example, their monthly income cannot cover the necessities of life such as food, clothing, and the need of their children. They have to make a choice want to use the money daily needs or save for future. In the end, they choose to use the money to buy daily necessities because that's more important. No, the problem of the scarcity still exists even though the family has received assistance such as allowances, books, and school uniforms. The assistance only reduces the burden but does not completely eliminate the problem of scarcity. The scarcity still exists because resources are still limited compared to unlimited ones. Even though families receive assistance, the amount of assistance is still limited and cannot cover all needs such as food, house, rent, health care, and other daily needs. Human needs are always increasing, so shortages continue to occur because the available resources are not enough to meet all needs. The second reason is family income is still low. The 300 ringgit allowance provided only is the burden a little but did not significantly increase the family's regular income. They still depends on their job as rubber tappers with an uncertain income. So, financial constraints are still a major problem. Lastly, the family need to make choice in resource use. Due to limited resource, families still have to use the money and assistance, for example, whether to buy food, pay bills, or cover school costs. This shows that scarcity still exists because every decision requires a sacrifice in other options. This shows that scarcity still exists because every decision requires a sacrifice in other options.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my name is Abdul Muiz Azim bin Muhammad Hilmin. My number matric is A24A3642. So I will presenting case study 2. For question A, why did the Health Ministry propose a minimum price for all cigarettes? For question A, the Health Ministry proposed a minimum price for all cigarettes because cigarettes price became very cheap due to price wars among tobacco companies. When prices are low, cigarettes become more affordable, especially to young people and new smokers. Even though the government increased taxes, manufacturers responded by reducing their price to maintain sales. Therefore, a minimum price was introduced to prevent cigarettes from being sold too cheaply. This policy helps control cigarettes price, reduce smoking rates, and support government public health objectives. For question B, explain what will happen to the market price and quantity cigarettes assuming demand is constant. For question B, when the government increased taxes on cigarettes, the cost of production and distribution for manufacturers increased. As a result, Firms reduce their output, causing the supply of cigarettes to decrease. This leads to leftward shift of the supply curve while demand remains constant. Due to decrease in supply, the market equilibrium price increase. At the same time, the quantity of cigarettes consumed in the market decrease. This helped reduce smoking by making cigarettes more expensive. And question C, besides imposing a minimum price, explain two other measures taken by the government to discourage smoking. For question C, besides imposing the minimum price of the government, uses their measures to discourage smoking. First, tobacco companies are required to register with the Health Ministry. This allows the government to monitor the product, promotion, and distribution of tobacco products. Second, graphic health warnings are printed on cigarette packaging. This warning shows the danger of smoking and are intended to discourage people from smoking, especially new and young smokers.
For this question, I will explain the impact of an increase in the number of smokers and a higher cigarette tax on the cigarette market. When the number of smokers increase, demand of cigarette rise and the demand curve shift to the right. At the same time, a higher cigarette tax increase production cost that causing the supply curve to shift to the left. As a result, market price increase.
Before the heavy rain, the supply of long bean was normal. Farmer could produce and supply long beans without any problems. Demand was stable and the price was at the equilibrium point P1 with the quantity Q1. After prolonged heavy rain, many long beans plants were damaged, causing the supply to decrease. This is shown by the supply curve shifting to the left from S1 to S2, while demand remains the same. The price increased from P1 to P2, and the quantity in the market decreased from Q1 to Q2. In conclusion, heavy rain reduced the supply of long beans and leads to the higher price due to unchanged demand. A ceiling price is the maximum price set by the government for a goods, and sellers are not allowed to charge above this price. Usually, the ceiling price is set lower than the market price. The main purpose of a ceiling price is to protect consumer from unfair price, especially during festive season lah. Natural disaster like flood or when goods are in short supplies. It also helps ensure that essential goods such as vegetables, chicken, and egg remain affordable. So lower income group, especially before tea, are not burdened by the higher price. Before a price ceiling is introduced, the market is at equilibrium, where quantity demands equal to quantity supply. At this point, the market is stable with no shortage or surplus. When the government set a price ceiling below the equilibrium price, the price becomes cheaper. As a result, more consumers want to buy, so quantity demand increase. However, producer earn less profit, so they reduce the production. This is causing the quantity supply decrease. The gap between quantity demand and quantity supply create a shortage. This can lead to long queues, good selling out quickly lah, and even the rise of black market where goods are sold illegally but at the higher price.
Next, I will explain about two effects of price ceiling. First of all, when a price ceiling is set below the equilibrium price, quantity demand increase while producers reduce supply due to lower profit. This lead to a shortage in the market. Second, price ceiling can encourage smuggling and black market, where goods are resold at higher prices to avoid price control. This reduces local supply and harms domestic consumer. For case study 4, question A asks us to give our opinion about the above article. First of all, there is a misallocation of resources. Spending 60 million on decorative lighting is not aligned with priority needs and limit government resource should be used to maximize social welfare. Secondly, the social benefit are low. Aesthetic lighting provide only short-term pleasure and benefit a smaller number of tourists without long-term economic or social improvement. Thirdly, there are better alternatives that could create higher value, such as improving public walkway, transportation networks, which generate positive externality. Fourth, this involve payers' money, which should be spent where marginal social value is highest. Public perception of wasteful spending indicate low public support. And lastly, the decision appear to reflect political interest rather than economic efficiency and does not represent long-term community priorities.
Identify the concept of scarcity faced by the government, the choice it had, and the opportunity cost incurred from the decision to spend money on decorative items lighting. Scarcity refers to the basic economic principles that there are limited resources to fulfill endless wants. Financial scarcity is faced by the government as the RM 60 million allocation is limited, creating a situation where there is not enough money to be spent on every possible project. In this case, the government made a choice to allocate the money to decorative lighting. Opportunity cost, therefore, is the value of the next best alternative that was forfeit. These alternatives include improvement of pedestrian walkways, clean lines of the public toilets, more healthcare centers, fitness centers, mosques, and better transport networks. All these alternatives would provide long-term gains to the public, such as enhancing public health, relieving congestion, and fostering the uplift of the communities. The opportunity cost is vital because it reveals the effort made by the public to invest money or labor in one way or another. Here, the actual cost of the decorative lighting is not determined by the RM 60 million, rather additional benefit lost to the public. What are the basic economic problems? Explain why they exist. The basic question of economics include what to produce, how to produce, and for whom. This question emerged because of scarcity as money, labor, and materials that can be measured by using a common unit such as money are limited, and human wants never get fulfilled because of these limitations. Scarcity, therefore, is the main cause of the basic question of economics. When scarcity is absent, this question of economics won't arise, as enough money, labor, land, and capital can be available to satisfy all human needs. Even if a person is able to earn enough money, he can satisfy all he wants because money can buy any good or service. In your opinion, are goods such as water and air scarce or abundant? Explain your answer. It is a fact that water and air are found to be abundant. Nevertheless, from the viewpoint of economy, clean air and clean water become scarce. Scarcity can be understood as a situation where the supply is not adequate for satisfying the demand for quality natural resources. Clean air as a natural resource is limited for the people of various cities, where air is polluted, making air a scarce resource. Clean water for drink is a scarce natural resource for a place where the climate is right or where the management of natural resources is improper. In microeconomic theory, water and air can be considered a public good because of the non-excludability and non-rival nature of these substances. However, the presence of pollution can convert these public goods into economic goods, thus making them amenable to rules, pricing, and management. It is thus important to note that even though water and air are abundant, the utilizable and clean form of these natural resources becomes scarce through increased population, increased activities, and environmental pollution. It is the scarcity that makes the role of the government in the efficient management of the resources quite necessary.